Welcome to Something to Marvel About, a podcast where we discuss and dissect the week's MCU releases. My name's English Dave, and joining me is my familiar, though many would argue I'm his, the one that keeps the coven true, my co-host, Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, David?
Joining us for this finale to make the coven 3, the one and only Raven Marie.
Hey, look at you rhyming today. Okay.
I'll bring us a little flex to it, you know? Make it seem as if this is what the podcast has been the whole time you've been missing.
Obviously. Obviously. What else?
We're here to talk about the finale of Agatha All Along, the 2-episode finale, episodes 8 and 9.
Yeah, we realized.
Well, I'm going to have to edit that out because we're not in the spoiler section yet.
Ah, shit.
Spoilers. Raven's already forgotten how these things work. But before we get into spoilers, Raven, I will start with you. Just as we'll get into what you thought about the show overall at the end of this, but for the finale, what did you think? Spoiler free.
I thought the finale was a great way to end it all. There were definitely twists and turns, and I feel like based on the way that we started the season, I want to say we all had kind of our predictions of how it would end, and I was still left surprised. I was left surprised in a good way. In the end, I felt like a lot of the reveals were extremely satisfying. The end of the trials felt like authentic. It didn't feel forced. Sometimes there's like trials and tribulations, and you're like, you literally only did this to raise the stakes in the last 10 minutes. But it actually felt like pacing-wise, it was good. Episode 9 itself, I wasn't obsessed with it being its own episode because I felt like it played out like a, what is it, epilogue?
It felt like, and I don't necessarily know if it's good or bad, but it felt like an extended after-credit scene.
Right, like it felt like an after-credit scene that was too long. Like it's like I kept like expecting it to end, and I was kind of like, oh, we're still going? Right. And like, I was happy we were still here, but it's like, are we still here?
Well, I think it's more so because episode 8 was so final. Episode 8 felt
right. It felt like almost like Beetlejuice, how it had like that extra ending that you're like, I'll take it, but like,
maybe they should have sliced them together more. I don't know.
Right, like I didn't even need it to end.
Yeah.
It could have just kept going. Like you didn't even need the credits. So that was probably my only slight, like, I guess peeve would be like, it didn't need to be 2 episodes, but I felt like they watched it and realized the same thing, which is why they aired at the same time.
Also Halloween. They're like,
right, like, come on, who wants to see it November 7th? Come on. But I also felt like it played out, I felt like the show itself played out in its entirety in a really good journey through the ages of folklore of witches. And I felt like on top of it being like obviously Marvel was a lot of fun, but I did love how much research was done into witch folklore and different cultures and how witches were known throughout the ages through different cultures. I felt like they did a really good job in that, and I felt like the very last episode to me just served as an episode to be like, shut the fuck up, fans. Like fanboys. Like it literally felt like, here's all your Easter eggs, all your speculations, leave us alone. Here's your after credit scene. We made it an episode. Leave us alone. You're welcome. Yeah, and that's
because the show technically didn't have any.
Yeah, because they had a 20-minute end credit scene. It's called episode 9.
Andrew, you throughout this season, as much as you enjoyed the show, there were times where you're like hoping at least that they would stick the landing. How do you feel?
I feel they stuck the landing. I'll give them Olympic silver or gold. I'm not sure which, but for sure I was happy at the end that one, we guessed quite a few things right. No spoilers yet. But I definitely couldn't have predicted that specific ending at all, or some of the things we got to see with the flashback that I think was so perfectly timed.
Yes.
With just like bringing your thoughts together about all of Agatha's motives. This is a show I'm definitely going to rewatch after this episode, and I think that's one of the biggest compliments I guess I could give them, because now it's like I knew it. I knew at that moment she had that look because XYZ, right? And I feel like there's even more than probably I can imagine, because we now know basically just no spoilers, but the fact that some questions were answered that make it clear that if you watch this again, you definitely pick up on a lot of like subtle undertones, right? And again, just fantastic acting again from Agatha to end this, right? I feel like she really portrayed so many different personas in one. Like her whimsical self, her serious self, but then we get to see that I feel like everything was intentional, right? It wasn't like she wasn't just acting weird; she was acting particular based on the circumstance she was in, right? And super intentional. And I don't know, man, Emmy nomination at least for her. I don't know about a win, but I feel like she definitely
throw her on the list.
she deserves a shout out. The award we'll see, but I think she really sold it, man. She sold so many of the scenes, and like I said, I really actually want to watch it already again, just so I can kind of see everything I've been knowing now she was doing, but like see it with this fresh mind, right? Like, watching Fight Club again, for example. So shout out to them. I think they stuck the landing, especially because I was scared, man. Secret Invasion once again.
We don't talk about Secret Invasion.
I was freaking out, not gonna lie. So I'm happy that I don't even know if I need a season 2 per se, but I for sure need these characters to appear in maybe multiple things, right? Maybe shows and for sure, right? And others, right? And maybe even more flashbacks in the future. And I feel like people's actions could have had more domino effects than maybe we think. So I think this show fits well in the Marvel cinematic world, right? I think they've given me enough where it's like I'm now curious about the rest of the world and like the people of Westview, who I'll get to. Because why do people still live in Westview?
Westview is like Townsville.
Or Gotham in a different sense, because it's like, why are you here? Leave, please. But they definitely stuck the landing.
I enjoyed this ending. I thought it did a good job of again playing with our. You can tell the writers are paying attention to fans' thinking, because yes, we figured out some stuff. I think some of the stuff we figured out, they wanted us to figure out, because then there are things that we weren't paying attention to while we were paying attention to this little thing over here. There's some things we didn't even question, right? There's some things we were like, to a point where there's moments in the show in the past episodes where we were like, Agatha, what's up with that? And then realize, oh shit.
That was on purpose.
We weren't paying
realize
attention.
what's up with
it. Oops.
Or Andrew and I spoke last episode about how there's certain threads and we're not sure how these threads can be brought together in just 2 episodes because there's so many threads, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes we think so large and don't think the simplest thing is the answer. And it's like, oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. That's fine. That works.
Duh. They're trying to tell us.
And the thing is, a lot of the secrets, and we'll get into that, are there the whole time.
They're not even
episode
secrets.
1. That's what I love, though.
They're not even a secret.
They're not even secrets. We're just slow.
It's in plain view.
Right, it hurts.
But no, I say this to say also that the writing is great. I'm with Andrew and you guys in sense of I want to rewatch everything again. I want to see all the moments, all the craziness, and all the stuff that we thought was either plot point or potential plot hole, or have maybe issues, and realize no, that was the plan all
along.
They tried to tell you.
Let's get into spoilers. First spoiler I will say is I want to ask you, Raven, once again. It goes, Agatha All Along. This whole thing with the Witch's Road was a song made up by Agatha and her son to trick witches into giving her power, which is exactly what she was trying to do in episode 1. That's why she was like, yeah, Mrs. Hart, you can come. Because she was like, I don't care, I'm going to kill these people and then I'm going to leave.
+1.
that's all that's going to happen.
Seriously.
How did you feel about seeing, let's go back to Agatha's origin of the song and finding out the truth?
I think it was a mix of emotions for sure, because obviously Agatha is a villain, and she is an infamous villain. She's known for being one of the most ruthless, witches and killing other witches and all that stuff. But I think that throughout, because we saw her relationship with Billy, and we saw that there is like a softer side to her, whether it even be her, love affair situation with Death. We saw these like softer sides of her. So, and we were alluded to believe that what we know about what happened to her son isn't the truth, right? So there's a big part of me, at least, that was like, maybe she wasn't bad all along. I thought that might be the reveal. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe the reveal is that all along she actually wasn't even a villain, because there's witches that died and were murdered that were innocent. And we all know about the Salem witch trials, and so it would make sense, and it would technically read into history if she was actually good.
They said nope.
So I did appreciate that they were like toss, trash that dream.
This is not a redemption story
at all. And I think that was technically a big reveal of the show also. That because technically, and that's a lot of people's complaints about Marvel as a whole, the MCU, is that sometimes they tend to shy away from a good villain, or they could have better villains if they stop trying to make these redemption stories, if they stop trying to make everybody relatable and have these good sides. Like, we want a villain, I will say that this made me hopeful for Doom. But regardless though, yeah, it was like, damn, Agatha. Like
right?
Honestly, what I thought and what she did was worse, way worse. I was like, well, shit. Like imagine
just centuries for centuries.
And hear this out, and you might delete this too. But now,
can't wait to hear this.
To me, it would be the same almost as like Harriet Tubman leading slaves, you know what I'm saying, down to victory, and then you get to a slave owner's house just to be sold, but like expedited. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not thinking that as a witch. Yeah. You're not thinking this witch is going to lead me to worse danger. No. She's going to lead me to worse danger than the colonizer? No way. No way. You know what I'm saying?
And she does.
Then the people who literally are trying to burn me at a stake, the witch is worse. So yeah, I think the level of betrayal made it kind of like, and very icky. I could completely understand why both man and witch kind hate her, because damn. But it was quite the reveal. It was, especially when you see how many times that happened.
Right?
So many outfits.
I thought after 3 or 4, we went through like decades.
Well, it made sense. In a previous episode, when she's talking to Billy, she's like, I've killed.
Yeah, no, but no, wait, on that, how can she even pretend to count? No, she's acting like it's like, oh, it's a single digit number. Ma'am.
I lost counting the third scene.
Does she mean dozen? Like, wait, what? 4 dozen? 42 dozen? Like, come on, man.
It's 15 scenes in a montage. After 3, I lost count. I was like, she's at like 16, 20. Damn. And then for her son to have to witness that, I was like, technically that's child abuse.
Mama, why do we kill witches?
I was like, damn. So it was technically that whole scene and episode was super dark. If it wasn't like, if Catherine Hahn wasn't so good at being this like whimsical, kind of like lovable evil, yeah. I think it would be a lot harsher to witness. Because technically it's really fucked up, but she's in the midst of it laughing and she's slaying a fit bitch. Oh my God. Oh my God. Every scene I was like, damn, I want that jacket. Damn, I want them shoes. And just looking more and more amazing every single scene. So it's like, if she wasn't maybe so charming, I maybe would have been more caught up in the fact that this, it's worse than a mom that takes their kid to the store to shoplift. She's literally having her kid help lure witches to their death. And he's aware they're dying. It's not like she's shielding them on the fact that, like, I'm murdering witches. It's not like she's like, oh, babe, they go to a beautiful place and everybody's happy and they go to the road. She don't make no shit up. She's like, we're killing witches. The road is fake. Let's go, son. Like, damn.
Could we not stay with the witches and survive with them? I was just like, oh.
Covenless witches. They'll just try to kill us. I was like, ooh, trauma. Trauma alert.
Self-induced.
It's okay, Mama. We can kill more witches tomorrow.
Yeah, that line was so like, oh, come on.
Guys, the next day, I guess you can't kill witches tomorrow. I heard a theory that people think that people think that her killing the witches was the bidding for death, which kept the son alive. And because they opted out, the one day, next day,
That is one of
and
the.
that's why you
those,
can't make a deal with death, man, because
well,
you're gonna have to keep it up forever.
And you
that's what
got
I
to
go
kill a
into.
part of your humanity in the process.
And other people's humanity.
Everyone's humanity.
I want to go into that with you, Andrew. The relationship between Death and Agatha, and encompassing that with her son Nicholas Scratch, because she made him from scratch. What I like about this relationship is that we get enough, but this show does a great job at resisting giving us too much, right? We don't see the beginning of this relationship. We don't see how they have a relationship, but I think they do a good job of making us understand that there is a relationship between them. Previous episode, Death even said, my scar, it alludes to the scar being Agatha because she has to do her job. She is Death at the end of the day. She's not good or bad. She
Yeah.
is Death. What do you think of the relationship between them and the end of the relationship with the kiss of death?
It's so interesting because is Death the daddy?
That's what some people think, but I don't know.
I feel like to some degree, even if we're theorizing that, her killing people was almost her giving Death enough to not come and take the child. I feel like Death felt ownership of that child, right? Like, he's an abomination, Agatha. So I'm gonna say, Death is the daddy of Nicholas Scratch, because you can't make a child from scratch unless you're God, and this is Mary. So we're just gonna say that's the case. But I feel like I think
we're getting sorry to cut you off. I feel like the story of Nicholas Scratch isn't over.
Even
he's
they
a
said
character
that, right?
in the MCU. He grows to be an adult in the MCU, so he has to be in another timeline.
When she did the thing with the hair and then she planted the thing?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know.
I was actually going to get there. Like, I feel like a hair on a witch's tear in the hex of a super magician can probably make a child. I don't know. It seems like a very Professor
Sounds like a
X
valid recipe.
Powerpuff Girl. Yeah, I don't know. That's like Chemical X.
And everything nice. That eyes.
So no, I think, first of all, Rio was also excellent as Death. In just the portrayals, even from the scene when she left the road with Agatha and she just cut the scene. It's like, come on, like, but we all know this is fake, Agatha. I'm here for bodies.
Which we'll get into that more. Which plays on the idea that the road was fake the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? It's one of those moments where they showed
artificial.
us
that
it's
she
artificial.
cut the veil, and we're still like, I wonder what the plot's going to be about. Where's she going?
Right.
Where's she going?
Because she knew, and also it makes sense.
Come back, Death.
Andrew and I spoke about this all the time, Raven, and the fact that every time Death was around, every time the trials would happen, she wasn't scared. Death was never scared. Death was like laughing. Because Death knew that this was all fake.
See, I thought it was because she was dead already.
Exactly.
Which is valid,
which is completely valid.
Yeah, but she's not always like haha laughing. Like, I feel like she was like, wow, this is what this boy is doing in his mind. That's so funny. Like, this is a crazy trip.
Right. It's like being in somebody's virtual reality, like that they created for themselves. Like, you're walking in like, this way you put a Starbucks in here.
But not just laughing because she knows it's fake, laughing because she knows the song from Agatha. Like, Agatha created. So she's like, wait, all this shit that you made up is happening.
And knows Agatha was full of shit the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy. That gives you a different context too. In looking back at the show, like every single interaction was her being like, we're still doing this.
Yeah.
Well, there's a moment.
Like I'll play, sure.
Right.
There's
all right,
a
let's
moment
play
where
along.
When Mrs. Hart dies, Agatha's looking at her, and Agatha says, and this is what the show does a good job of, it makes us aware of the moments. We just don't know why. Because I'm sure you guys will remember it when she says, I didn't know you had it in you. We were all like, who is she talking to? Like the road? But she's talking to Billy because she knew that Billy was the one manifesting this. And she's like, oh shit, I didn't have it, you had it in you to kill someone. Which is why later on when Billy's all like, I would never kill anyone for my goods. And she's like, because she knew he already did.
That was also something dark that we might get to eventually. So I don't want to jump the gun. But Billy realizing he's a fucking murderer. Ooh.
Uh, uh, it's very how Wanda just went psycho. I feel like he's having his own like come out experience earlier,
I
right?
mean,
Yeah,
like,
bro.
like,
There's a lot of trauma
mother,
in
like
that
son.
show, bro.
There's a lot of trauma in that family.
Yeah,
like the Maximum
I thought
family.
my family was dysfunctional.
the
Like-
Maximoffs.
Because, I mean, there's just so many things wrong with that family. Your dad's not even a real man. He's not a real boy.
And this is without Magneto being the grandfather.
Oh,
Because it's not
gosh.
like the comics, right?
Shit, I forgot about
I hope they weave that in via
the
multiverse
MCU has never
somehow.
addressed that, yo. That is Magneto's kids. First
Well, at least in
of
the comics.
all.
I don't know if in the MCU has done it yet, but in the comics,
haven't.
yes.
Yeah, they better hurry up and tell us. I wonder if James McAvoy is going to be the Magneto daddy. Which Magneto daddy you think is going to be? Not James McAvoy.
McAvoy is Professor.
Fassbender.
Yeah.
Fassbender.
I take Fassbender.
I would love
He's
Daddy
on
Fassbender.
Oh, yes.
That should be excellent.
With the shit. Yes. I'm
You
sorry.
guys.
We got off track. Where were we?
track.
Stick.
We're on the road.
The
There
Witch's
is only
Road.
one track. Yeah,
And
you
it's
don't
not
worry about it.
real.
On the Witch's
so
Road.
it's fine.
Well,
Don't
let's go into that.
We're on the
Actually,
nerdy road.
Before we go there, still speaking on Nicholas Scratch, I did like the reveal when Agatha became a ghost, but she doesn't want to move on to the other side. It's because she doesn't want to face her son. I love that revelation of just.
I
Like,
did love that reality.
because I don't want to face it. I was like, oh, you don't want to go to the afterlife because
She kept killing.
That's so
You
crazy.
kept on going, which is you kept on killing because of the pain of his death.
Yeah.
But you know
still-
that it's not something that he liked doing.
Yeah. You still
And-
continued.
What I was thinking about this. What I liked about this show and what they did with Agatha is that they never make you. And Andrew and I talked about this all the time, and maybe you kind of alluded to it. That every time you have moments of like, oh, I feel sorry for her, she'll do something where you're like, oh, she's such a villain. She does not care. Like, shit. Even when she became a ghost, she's like, oh, Mrs. Hart, who? I'm like, really?
Still doesn't know.
Like all the way to the end.
So funny.
No idea. No idea what you're
Actually,
talking about.
still
But-
no idea.
But so even though you don't empathize with her, but they do a good job of making you feel compassion for her.
Or
You
making
know-
you feel that she has compassion, which is crazy.
To-
She's
to-
still a
to-
murderer.
Yeah.
She's still a murderer. She's still self-servicing. Like I know that when Teen, I keep calling him Teen. He's Billy now. When Billy,
It's finally revealed. You're still calling him teen.
when Billy's trying to banish her, I felt for her because she felt scared. I was like, oh shit, she's about to get banished. Oh shit. But then in reality, I should be like, yeah, banish her. You know, she did all this evil
I thought the
stuff.
same thing. I was like, no.
Birthday
no, no, no.
privilege.
I'm like, no, she should be banned.
Something,
Yeah. Downed her.
Like-
She should be for 100
Like,
years.
Yeah.
Speaking of being
Yeah.
out,
100 years.
Raven, Jen, again, Andrew and I spoke about this, right? Because a couple of episodes ago, we were like, there's not enough time to explain Jen's storyline with this scientist and all this kind of stuff, all this crazy stuff. And it was just the simplest
It's
thing. because it was
Agatha all along.
all along.
Right. Okay, so
Finding out
first of
Agatha.
all, what was the actress name that plays Jen?
Yeah, Sashir Zamata.
So here's Amata.
Yeah, Sashir Zamata. I'm a big fan of hers already. I was like a fan of hers. She does mostly comedic roles. I was a huge fan
And
of her
she's
in
a
the
stand-up.
show. Yeah, she's a stand-up comedian, funny as love her. I forgot wasn't she in like Jon Stewart's daily report for a little while?
Was she?
I don't know. I remember it being featured in
Or-
somebody's
or
comedy.
Or are you mixing her with
political
with the
comedy
other
show.
lady?
No, I know he was talking about Jess, and it was not her. But anyway, but I love this actress. I really loved her in the show Woke, which I don't think got continued. So I was hoping to see her again. So I'm super excited that she's in the
She was
MCU
in
because I
SNL.
think okay, I'm a huge fan of SNL. That's okay. Boom. Skit show. That makes sense. I still watch SNL. Anyway, love SNL.
Yeah.
She's obviously on SNL. She's a great comedian, hilarious. And I always love it because when she was in Woke, even though she was in a comedic role, it was like a slightly educational comedic role. And I love her in this because I felt like she brought, like she was almost like the audience throughout the whole show.
A little
You know,
bit.
like it was always the audience reaction is usually whatever Jen was saying. Like every step of the way was like, over bodies, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like,
when she's like,
How did they
is
meet?
What's the random lady doing here?
Yeah. Like literally every step of the way, she was the one that was like, guys, is anybody else noticing this? Or the was it not the Mrs. Hart? The Lilia I had a heart to heart with 5 minutes ago would have never spoke to me this way.
I love that line. Love that line.
I love that line. She said she would never talk to me this way. We just had a heart to heart. But yeah, I loved what she brought to the role of Jen. I love that although Jen was bound, we end up finding out that there's some type of magic that exists within all of us, regardless of there being actual witch magic. And then in the end, we end up finding out that the person who bound Jen's magic all along was f***ing Agatha.
Unintentionally,
really
it wasn't her intent.
Really is horrible, bro.
My client did not know.
She pleads the fifth. But like it was definitely a moment of like, damn, because I just never thought it was gonna go that way. Like I thought we would get some type of closure on her being bound, but I didn't think that Agatha was linked to it at all. So that was definitely a real. But I felt like the acting in the moment of the reveal of getting her power back.
Yeah, that was.
That's the best acting I've seen. That's the best acting I've seen since Angela Bassett lost her child in Black Panther. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, give that woman an Emmy because I felt that. At least a nomination. But I absolutely loved it. I loved the scene and I loved her closure. Because like you said, I didn't know how her story is gonna wrap by the end of the season, and I didn't think that we'd be able to see, or at least some type of conclusion where her storyline before this show ended. I thought we'd have to see her again in something else.
Yeah.
It's like her flying away makes me feel like she's definitely coming back in something. I would love to see her in the world of the Marvels, like with that group. But either way,
hold nothing. You hold nothing.
You hold nothing.
You hold nothing.
Whew.
Nothing.
That was good. I feel like being on set that day must have been crazy.
Ugh. Fun fact that might allude to her future, because again we see her fly away, and she's the only one that she's the only one that doesn't know the road is not real. By the way,
you're right. Wow, I never thought about that.
Before.
That's true. She's like, thank
she
you,
left
road.
Before.
Never do that again. She's gonna go tell that story. Oh my god!
I just realized she's gonna keep singing that song, and it's gonna keep leading people to Agatha, the ghost, Agatha.
That's an interesting one.
Fun fact that might allude to her future is that Jennifer Kale in the comics is cousins of one Danny Ketch and one Johnny Blaze, who
Danny Ketchum.
Both in the comics have became Ghost Rider. So she's related to the Ghost Rider. So I don't know, because also there's been talks lately of a Marvel in the comics as a group known as the shit, what are they called? The something Sons.
Midnight Suns?
The Midnight Sun. Yeah, the Midnight. No, it's the same thing.
It's the
Midnight Suns. There's Midnight Suns, and it consists of like the horror-centric Blade, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider. So there's been talk of that's where it's leading down. So maybe
I'll be she's a witch.
Super down for that. Pun intended. Fire.
Yeah, like if she became a character in the Midnight Suns. I loved when they were in the trial, the final trial, and they're trying to figure it out. And Agatha says to her, "Your last name is a vegetable, the worst kind."
That did have me laughing.
I was like thinking, and she said kale. I was like, "Oh my god!"
I was like, "That is pretty valid." It does kind of suck.
The worst kind, but like broccoli. Like, wait, what are we?
I love broccoli. Kale, yeah.
Andrew, I want to ask you about Billy. You realize Revelations again. It's something we've talked about through the whole series. We talked about. I told you 2 episodes ago. I was like, "There's stuff in his room. It's the same stuff in the road." Agatha even says in the first. For one of the first trials, Agatha says, "Oh, this looks like your pinup board, something your pinup board." There's been hints all along that it was Billy. Even the first time when the door opens on the floor, Billy's the one that runs through. It's like, "Oh, is that the door?" He runs through. Agatha's like looking. She even almost looks at the camera.
That's why I love in hindsight. I was knowing at that moment because she's like, "What the?" Like this is no matter what she knew. This ain't no road. This is someone's doing, right?
and Andrew, you and I even questioned. Nate almost even said it was a plot hole that was
Yeah.
like, well, if there's a sigil on him, how would Agatha have known that he was? Well, it's because she knew the road was fake, and then,
Yeah.
well, if he's making it, he must be like, she probably had some inkling that that he's the son of the Scarlet Witch until she got confirmation. What did you feel about Billy's realization that he is the one that created the road?
So I think one, and just because you just said it, because the question which I'll answer is, I wonder from when Agatha knew the depth of what was going on. So is it in that moment, did she know, he's a Maximoff, or did she just think this guy is super magical, and then kind of run with it? Because I feel like maybe she was like 75% sure.
Yeah. I think she was
at that time.
She had an inkling, and then she kind of, let's see where this is going.
Yeah, right. And she probably like realized super quickly, right? But it's just crazy that I guess I like that we've now seen Agatha interact with both Wanda and Billy, but in almost two different ways, right? With Wanda, it was very hostile. It was very like, what are you doing? Like attacking her, not even trying to understand. But with Billy, it's almost motherly. You know, even when she's rude to him, it's
she
still
reminds
very
him of her son.
Exactly right, and I think that's a very interesting theme that they explored. Right, it's seeing this villain interact with two super magical beings in the same family, but in completely different ways. Right, especially she's not like his Tamagotchi, if you know what it is like. And I'm super looking forward to the future because I feel like they can do a lot with him growing and just having this Agatha spirit buddy, you know, like Casper the friendly ghost, but opposite in her case. So I feel like about him on the road. I swear, if you go back to our early podcast, I remember from the beginning, I'm like, why is this dude so good at everything? Like, he's like, there's the moon on the door. Like, so this, I'm like, bruh.
Right, everything just happens to work out.
Until he touched something, right?
Exactly.
Then the trial starts.
And I love that because I just thought back then that, okay, he's super observant, but then it was also like a little too much. And I like that it wasn't, it was exactly what that was, you know what I mean? Like, it was because it was his imagination. It wasn't because he was just super smart. Like, yeah, he was. And even at the end, because he says something like, let's go back to square one, and then they get back to the beginning of the road, right?
And even when you said, I wish Lily was here.
Yeah.
Last episode, and she appears.
And that's when I was like, arrest him. Burn him. He's a witch. He's always at Harry. No, so I repeat, I have to watch the show again, just now understanding that I'm watching the Billy vision with Agatha tagging along. And just the fact that a moment I have to just shout out is Agatha is so mean. Like the beginning scene, like the fact that we now know that she literally was trying to kill them. I find it so funny. Her range of emotions from like, oh wait, how am I going to do this? To, oh wait, Salem 7 are here. To, wait, this magical dude, this door. I feel like it's like if you rewatch that scene, because I had it playing the other day, like she really portrayed the whole idea of like WTF. But yeah, let's see where this goes, right? So,
which is why like she's almost like one of the last to kind of run down the stairs because she's like, the hell?
Right, and even like okay, which makes so much more sense now because you realize the road is never actually opened ever.
No,
all the time.
What road?
She's done this 1,000 times.
What are you even talking about? Yeah.
Right. She's done this 1,000 times and there's never been any type of reveal.
It wasn't a myth. Thing, right? It's not like people doubted it or like maybe there was a rumor. No. Like,
she just made it up.
I mean, this song.
Like she made this thing up and it was never supposed to be. Again, it's not like she was, like Andrew said, it's not like she was searching for something that was maybe real. It was something that was never supposed to be real. The whole point was to piss off the witches enough for them to attack her because that's how she absorbs their power. It does a good job of having the audience register those moments. We just don't know why, but it registers with us, right? It's just there's something like, I wonder why. Like, it makes sense, Andrew, why she didn't drink the wine. Because she's like, I'm not drinking this made up wine. She's like,
right. She's like, what would this do to me?
You're actually so right. I feel like there's
technically,
more than I'm thinking.
You know, technically it was a dangerous situation because Alice died in real life. You know what I'm saying? So she's not wrong to not drink the wine. It's a powerful warlock.
Or even just like not wanting to partake in the trials, like even at the end with the card, she's like, just hurry up and do it because to her, this isn't a real trial. This isn't real.
Right,
This
she's
isn't going to
just
give us
throwing
anything.
them down.
I just want to get out of this. Like, come on,
Which
let's
makes
go.
a lot of sense now.
So much sense. And I think it's also credit to Catherine Hahn's acting, because she's acting with this knowledge, but also holding back enough just because then it makes sense
to make
why,
the audience think that she doesn't know what's going on either.
Yeah,
right?
It's pretty good, honestly.
Which again makes sense why the whole time she was just thinking, I'm going to eventually kill these witches so they can take their power. This is, again, it leads to this was not a redemption story. She was fine, and then seeing those flashbacks, she has no problem killing any of them. It's not
problem. That's the goal, please.
right. Well, Raven, I want to go to you. It's still continuing talking about the Billy reveal. What I like about this, if you kind of look at it from a step back point of view, Agatha with both Nicholas Scratch, and she even says to Billy later on, when you say things like that, you remind me of him. I think both Nicholas and Billy kind of fall in this kind of weird territory where they're similar to Agatha, where they're implicit in killing people, right? Whereas, because by the end of because throughout the whole thing we talked about, the son was involved in killing these witches. He knew what was happening, and even Billy understands. He has that realization of that he killed all these people. Agatha is just like, this is what we do, but Billy, and in turn, Nicholas Scratch, don't feel that way. How did you feel about the moment of Billy realizing that, oh shit, I am a murderer, I killed these people?
It was dark, man. I mean, I think that they did a good way throughout the whole show of keeping a lot of technically dark themes lighthearted. But, as light as you can make it, it's still harsh. The realization that, damn, bro, you're a murderer. Because this whole time he's kind of been holier than thou when it comes to Agatha. Oh, I would never do something like that. You should never do something like that. This is the wrong thing. This is the right thing to do. So realizing that as much as you've been steering people from right and wrong, and what she ends up saying later too with the you never do, when he said I don't know how, she says you never do. And it's this exact same situation. You never
Like his
know,
mama.
but these are the stakes. Just like his mama, you never do. And she asked his mama too, and she said, I don't know. I consider myself a modern day witch to some extent. I know a lot of this stuff and I'm into a lot of these things and spiritual practices, but one of the biggest things that they tell you throughout is that the energy you put in is also there's consequences to it. You don't dabble in dark magic, because if you're doing dark things, that energy comes back to you. You know what I'm saying? So there's a consequence to everything that you do. If you're asking the universe for something, you have to understand that what has to happen in order for you to get what you want. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might be
Give
worth
and
it or
take.
not worth it to
It's like
ask.
alchemy.
Right, exactly. So I do like that this show dealt with all of these themes, you know what I'm saying? And kind of all of the rules to the culture of yeah, you think that you're innocent, and yeah, you wanted to do the right thing, but you manifested a reality that doesn't exist. It's an abomination. You
And
put
people
people into a
died because
reality
of
that
it.
doesn't exist. You put people through trials and tribulations because of your brain felt like you needed to test them, but in that test, you also killed somebody. You're doing this fun, playful thing. You just so you were making some, song reel, or didn't know you were doing it. But even in the innocence of it, it's this is what happens. And this is why nobody wants you alive, bro. This is why nobody wants you alive. This is why Death wanted to take him, because it's an abomination, because he can do things like this. You know what I'm saying? He
shouldn't
can
exist.
change reality, kill people in a false reality that are taken out of our
And
world.
he wasn't supposed to exist in the first place.
That's
I
what I'm
think it's
saying.
because
You
he
were created out
died.
of an abomination.
Yeah. He's
As even
supposed to
now,
be
wasn't
dead.
he manifested from either her thoughts or from another universe? She yanked
Yeah,
him?
from her thoughts. Yeah. Which is why it's interesting that he has to give himself up willingly, because if he dies, he just goes into another body.
I found that interesting though. I was like, I wish I had a periodic chart for the rules of the afterlife in the MCU. So if you okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but I don't think that's a general rule. I think this is because it's specific to
Yeah, no, for him.
conditions. Him and Tommy.
Yeah,
both him and Tommy.
Sorry, and Tommy, which is an interesting point.
Yes, let's go into that, because I think it's connected. Because then Agatha helps him kind of find a body for Tommy. Andrew, you're correct. you mentioned that we're going to get a hint of Tommy, but we're not going to actually see the actor.
I was more or less spot on with that one. I just knew it was like
that we get flashes of a body in a pool, and I love that moment where it's just like, am I killing him? But it's like,
that was good.
This is someone who was dying already, the same way that he got his body was someone who died first.
He's all alone.
And I love that kind of thing, and I love that kind of ending where it's like, okay, we're going on a search for Tommy, which is interesting because again, that dynamic of Billy and Ghost Agatha is from the comics, but it was Wanda and Ghost Agatha going down the witch's road.
Yeah.
So you can see where they got influence from the comics for this, which I really enjoyed myself. Same.
Alice had a shitty
yes, I was going to talk about that.
Yo, I had some points.
Yes, Raven. Let's talk about Alice. Gosh. You're a protection witch, aren't you?
Oof. Out of anybody, Alice specifically, she had a bad run, man. Because you spent your life, kind of effed up, dealing with your trauma, your generational curses, as we all do. Just for you to finally realize, like, this is what it all meant. And then for you to break said curse and for you to die immediately. Never even but the thing is, you died in a false reality too, which is even worse. It's even worse because it took you to be in an alternate state of being. But depending on what you believe in, you could view it as purgatory. You made it through and now you crossed into the other side, and she would have still had to go through. Right.
Yeah. She still had the family problems, and it still had the family curse, the family demons.
And the only thing that sucks is her legacy won't continue. But it's like, damn, you know what I'm saying? You broke the curse. So technically nobody in your line got to live without it. But you
for
broke
1
it.
minute.
Right. It's like, I get it. It's like you broke the curse. That's cool. But like,
especially the fact that Agatha could have stopped taking her powers. Sorry, just
she could have just.
Agatha killed her. She
like,
literally could have stopped. We've seen that she could have stopped, but she was like, meh. It was gonna kill her anyways.
Yeah, the scenario reminded me of Family Feast. It's like I don't have to get a third plate. I just eat two. Right. After my 5th slice of pie, like I don't need to. Raven, we like pie too. I'm like, it's all gone. I'm sorry.
When she did protest to Death, and Death was just like, "You're protection witch, aren't you? You die protecting somebody." I was like, "Oof."
Yeah, like
she ain't wrong.
One of the downsides of being a hero. That's why I'm good.
I was watching behind the scenes of this show, and there's so many clues in their outfits. And even Billy, his gray sweater had runes on it. We couldn't see. That was telling us that there's something with him. There's runes, and then his how dope was that moment when he came down as Wiccan?
Just clothesline.
Honestly, I can't lie. Out of all the costumes and like costume design in MCU, I need that headpiece, bro. I need just that headpiece. Like, I'm gonna be sitting at home in a bathrobe, that shit, and a J in my hand. If ever you need to know where Raven's at, Raven is on the couch with the headpiece on, chilling. J bathrobe.
How did
the
you
next
feel
podcast, y'all are gonna see me like this. Yes,
get it. You have to do it.
All the shocks are in my head.
The first time that we saw that crown revealed and they had the Billie Eilish song, "You Should See Me in the Crown." How was that? How did that drop? You should see me in the crown. Oh, but yeah,
I was losing it. They cut that.
This costume reveal, as much as I loved it, it made me miss something. And I understand why we don't get this anymore. I understand it. It's not like I want it back.
What, the superhero landing?
Not the superhero landing. No. But Raven, and I'm sure Andrew, you're the same boat. We're all old enough to remember when, movie makers would take the moment to show off the costume from angles.
Like when the Power Rangers morph.
Slow mo.
Like the little
Iron Man 1, see the pieces. All the pieces. Like,
for no reason at all. I loved it.
I didn't realize how dope the Wiccan costume was until I saw the behind the scenes. Right, because you get detail. Like, there's so much detail. I saw, like, in the clothes, there's detailing that symbolizes his magic mother and his android father, things like that.
Oh,
like, there's all
really?
these crazy details.
Nah, they went hard because you could also tell that it's a mix between Scarlet Witch's like Scarlet Witch fit and Vision's like, I'm gonna save everyone from Scarlet Witch's fit, and it was fire. I was like, wow, look at you.
It's so good. And again, I understand why they don't do it because again, it breaks up the narrative. But back in the day, they would find ways to give us
They
a
could find
reason
a way.
why
A 3
why
second
we're
zoom
getting this
in.
detail, of this stuff.
Maybe
Because
even
it's
like if they showed us him like putting it on with the magic, right? You could take
right,
4
right, right, right.
seconds there from the extended after credits last
Right.
episode to give us some costume.
I was dying because they faked me out. Where he has this amazing entrance, but at the end of it, when he leaves, he gets into a car because I was expecting to fly away.
Hilarious. Because look, even Jen flew away, right?
I guess he drove a car there.
Right.
Like he couldn't leave that there. That's too funny.
We all have to go back in the show like, oh shit, he did drive a car. He sure did.
Like, let me go in the car. And he's tired. He just had a fight,
Right. Right. I guess that takes energy. I don't know. Flying.
Yeah.
It might be like running. Running is exhausting.
It is, right?
Maybe flying is exhausting.
Super
And all the way
easy.
home. We don't know how much energy he has to fly all the way home. Even birds got to land sometimes.
Or does he fly, or does he just leap? Like, did he just leap from the con land?
That's what I'm saying.
Agatha? Like,
and even if it's the same as walking does get exhausting after a couple miles.
I'd rather drive.
And he's had a
Where
rough
did he
couple
come from?
days.
So when he drove, he parked. Then what are the logistics of this entry? I'm now a little confused.
Do you think he knew he could fly before he got there? Like, was he like, damn, I got to get the car back?
Yeah. But then he was like, let me stand back enough, leave the car further enough that it doesn't get damaged because something's going to happen.
Or get a ticket.
Like,
right?
this house is always getting blown up. This neighborhood. Something's always going wrong in this
the
neighborhood.
residents of Westview know all too well. They're like, again?
Right.
Those two guys, that's probably one of my favorite pieces of the episode. Because I'm like, what do you mean again? Why are you there?
Just move, bro.
Like move.
You know what, though? Maybe there's nobody that'll buy the house. I mean, there's a lot that's going on. Ain't nobody trying to buy real estate in Westville.
I mean, you're right. If I owned the house and then got on Hex, I would.
You'd be probably trying to sell it for the longest.
You could open a museum.
That's probably the worst place.
You could be like, guys, this is where Wanda possessed everyone. And if you look at the house across the street, she's dead now.
Miss Marvel, did tell us. Miss Marvel did tell us there are like Marvel, like superhero museums and stuff. They do exist in the Marvel universe. So yeah.
Westview, whole town.
People probably staying far away from there.
I love Agatha when she says to him, when he's like, I killed all of them. She's like, well, I'm the one that killed. He acknowledged I killed Alice. And she's like, technically, you saved a life, because of Jen, because it cuts to Jen. Because I like that Agatha's like, I was going to kill them all.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
and I must say, the black one survived. Hey, look. We're breaking the mold.
Yes.
Good job, Dad.
Unite. And Jen was right the entire time. Jen maintained throughout the entire time that she was only trying to take all of them there to steal their powers. She knew all along. Jen throughout the entire thing kept telling Billy, she just wants to take everybody's powers. She only wants Dolores here to take everybody's powers. And she was saying it throughout. And then sure enough, she literally did. She was literally trying to. And Billy didn't believe it.
Yeah.
No.
Billy, I wish you saw the montage we did.
And to be fair, even when she got out of the hex, she didn't do like, oh, I'm back. She was like, like, bye. Like, I'm
Peace out, homies.
She sure did. She's like, I'm out of here, Hex.
I love when she's trying to figure out the clue, and then Billy goes to help her, and Agatha says, no, don't steal her struggle.
Right. Oh, the one-liner.
She woke up in the box.
Don't steal her struggle, because she literally was struggling. Like.
Literally.
Oh my gosh.
Don't steal her struggle.
That
was great. It was like, she's back.
I want to talk about the fight between Agatha and Death.
That was a good fight.
Die by 1,000 cuts.
She literally threw the kitchen sink at her.
Everything and the kitchen sink.
Oh my goodness.
It's epic. Like, and what I like again in hindsight, this show does a good job of making the budget of the show also makes sense for the narrative. Raven, I don't know if you know this, but this is like the cheapest Marvel production show like ever. Like ever. Like things like other shows will be like,
they need to keep doing that shit then, because maybe they spend some more time on story.
Well, that's what it
Honestly,
is. Well, that's what it is. Is like some of these shows have been like, I think Secret Invasion was like
Secret
$200 million
Invasion.
budget.
Fucking
It was like $200 million
embarrassing.
budget. Do you know what the budget was for this? $43 million.
What? See what I'm
This was
saying?
43. Secret Invasion was 200. Right.
See what I'm
But
saying?
this works in the sense of
Pay
the
your
road was-
writers.
the road was clearly a soundstage, but it's clearly a soundstage because it was a fake road. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's things like that where it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, genius.
it makes sense. Yeah.
And the
It
funny
makes
thing about
sense.
it being a soundstage, I didn't question at all because I was like, this isn't reality. And then I was like,
Exactly.
oh, okay, this is Billy's reality. It makes even more
Exactly.
It's
sense.
like
You know?
So it's again, they use the budget to make sense, but you're not thinking, oh, this looks cheap, because it looks cheap because it is fake. It's supposed.
Yeah,
That's why
right.
they acknowledge it by having Rio cut through it. You know, things like that. They never try to
that's so
pretend it's
good.
not fake.
Yeah.
And I thought they do a fantastic job. But then when it juxtaposes it to the final fight, they go epic, right? It's like big explosions and things, and a big fight. And Rio's face, that was all practical makeup. It's not CGI.
I was going to say, her
dead.
face makeup was so good. I thought that was CG, or I thought it was
Yeah,
a
no.
mask.
Yeah, no. It's like there's like they
They
put
killed
prosthetics.
that.
So
No,
good.
they killed
So-
that.
we need to.
The second they
there's rumors
revealed
that-
her face, I was like, whoo, fire.
Ugh.
It was
No,
scary,
nice-
but fire.
nice little touch. She doesn't show the skull face when she picks up Nicholas Scratch. I was like, oh, that was cute.
Aw, so thoughtful.
She was being nice.
She was being all sweet,
She
like,
said
Death isn't evil or mean. She's just doing
No.
her job.
It's just
Right.
yeah,
that's
I
just her
think
job.
it's not even her job. Like, Death doesn't kill people. Death
No,
just gets
she
people who are
takes
already
those.
dead. She
Yeah.
just takes people who
Right.
are already dead. Right. Death
Right.
doesn't kill you.
Like
You know?
Agatha is a murderer.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, Death
In
is
fact-
doing her job by getting rid
Right.
of the bodies, but that's like her job,
Yeah, exactly.
know?
Exactly.
not the bodies themselves. Like that's
She doesn't do
human
the
shit.
killing, right?
That's
She
things
doesn't
for
do
the
killing.
living, you know? She's not on that top.
My one nitpick I will say with that fight, and that's more because, you know, I'm old enough to have seen so many of these things, is that I'm tired of superhero fights where it's just laser at you.
Right.
I'm lasering
Light
back at
show.
you. Light show. Lasering at you.
Light
you know?
show. Light show.
I feel like
Oh my God.
they could have taken a page from the Doctor Strange book, and I'm surprised they didn't, where they get real hand gestures and intricate thought, you know, like doing things with more thoughts and purpose, right? Hand gestures. And we saw a bit of that in WandaVision, I feel. with
Right,
the
because
fight
Wanda
between
has her
Wanda
whole
and Agatha.
like
Yeah.
thing,
And even
you
their
know?
fight, I mean, it still ended up with shooting lights at each other, but I wish there was
Yeah.
more like creative, witchy stuff.
There wasn't
and
enough
spells.
redirecting. I would have liked to see like a lightning punch. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to see a mix of, you know, practical in the magic. Like, you know.
But it doesn't have to always be like light show, right? Just do
Right.
crazy witchy stuff, like a witch stuff that makes you teleport, or like do like some
Or
weird
I was
stuff.
hoping I would see more like transformations. I don't know. Like I was
Yeah.
hoping like the sink would become I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That
so
and
that's
like
what I
a
was gonna
weapon,
say.
you know?
Exactly.
Like in Doctor
a baby
Strange.
version of Doctor Strange, which was Thanos. Like literally very, very dumbed down, right? Like
Yeah.
you know how Rio kept using like nature, like maybe the tree vines around
Mhm.
Agatha, and then she turns it to poison. Like
I
they
did
could have
like that
orchestrated
nodded-
it a little bit.
Yeah. I did like that nod at Evil Dead though. You can't hide that from me. I saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I saw it.
That's what
I was
it
like,
is
tree
referenced. Tree
Um,
yep. Those
But even the
vines,
way she
I know
comes
that
out of the
scene.
ground, right?
Yeah. Literally
Yeah, you know,
very,
like-
very Evil Dead.
You know, like
Even the
this
Book of
is-
the Dead, it's all Evil Dead technically.
it's a nice little touch when Rio first shows up in episode 2 on the road. Like, oh, what are you doing here? It's like, I was in the neighborhood. Well, now that we know she was dead, she was in the neighborhood because she was collecting Mrs. Hart's soul. That's why she was in the neighborhood.
Like,
you know,
like
just-
literally.
Literally.
Which also,
So,
wow,
yeah.
Mrs. Hart really died. So.
She really died. It was not
Just-
like she's gonna come. No,
And nobody
she-
really mourned her death because they didn't even
Full-on
bring it up
victim.
after either. They're like, you killed Alice. What about Mrs. Hart? Like, didn't they both die? Technically?
Like that's it. That isn't hers even sadder because she
Because
was
she's just a
literally
person?
innocent. Yeah, like
She's just out here trying
Like,
to live her
even-
life. We
even
don't
if the-
care.
Even
Okay.
if the road was real, she was gonna get no benefit because she's not a witch.
yeah.
So
right.
either way,
Right.
It was
Technically,
terrible.
that's the saddest story. Her story is sadder than Alice's
Terrible.
because she already
Yeah.
lost her husband. She was trying to live her life
Mhm.
and chill.
and she was already like controlled by Wanda for a time, so she's already had that shit. happen
Just
to her.
such a rough time, Mrs.
Like,
Hart.
jeez.
Damn.
R.I.P. Mrs. Hart.
And was that
No, I
her
was-
name? Like, is Mrs. Hart her actual name or
Sharon
Davis? She's Sharon
Davis. See, we're still calling it a wrong name. Even in death. Just so disrespectful.
Oops.
I will give it to Billy, though.
Y'all are just like Agatha.
He carved their names in stone at the end.
He did.
That was nice. Right. I mean, well, he killed them, so you should have bare minimum to that.
I mean, still, not every. I mean, I don't see Wanda carving names.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, Wanda decimated a cliffside for all her victims. All the rocks. She didn't need to carve nothing in. She collapsed it. For you. She's a
is there anything else you haven't spoken about that you guys want to talk
sacrifice
about?
Oh, the only thing I will say, which somehow we didn't bring up, which goes to show that this is finally just good storytelling. There was both a leading lesbian and a leading gay man in this show.
Oh, yes.
And they did this so well to where this is the first time I haven't heard the Christians say shit. Well, like, are they, or they just didn't watch it because it's witches in the first place?
It's more that, by the way. Because trust me, there are bigger issues if somebody's watching this. Trust me, it's not. That's like the least of the problems.
Because like even with what's her name, Miss Marvel, I felt like they had complaints about random shit in that show, and I felt like that was the most childish.
Yeah, because they took their kids to see that, so they don't want that hula balulu LGBTQQ. No.
Right. Because I like that it wasn't about them being gay; they were just gay,
which was not exactly.
Like when I had the moment of like, they kind of gay, and then they made out, and I was like,
but even with that, it's something we've spoken about, Raven. Andrew and I spoke about in previous episodes where this is the first time. A lot of comic book stuff, Marvel included, everything. They'll always say a character is good, and then move along.
They'll like hint at it, but they're not gonna do an on-screen kiss. They're not gonna do a longing for and despair from the loss of relationship.
They're not gonna have a natural conversation about a same-sex couple.
They're not gonna have an immaculate conception baby made by a same-sex couple either.
Even Billy and his boyfriend from previous episodes, things like that. Like
right.
These just like regular.
And it was a biracial gay relationship.
It's like whoa.
And I can't lie, I felt very old because I felt like I know the current generation is watching this, and they're not even thinking anything of it. But I'm from a time where it's still a thing, so I'm watching it and I'm like, look at them being gay on screen.
Right, like in the back of your mind.
And it's romantic partnerships. It's not situationships. It's not hookups. And it's not people who are in seemingly straight relationships that have all this despair. And now they got to be, they have to pretend like nobody was in the closet. And they also didn't make it a thing either. Like nobody was shocked.
Yeah, the story
that Agatha was with death. Right. Nobody was shocked that Agatha was with death. Everybody was shocked that death is death.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It had nothing to do with her being a guy or girl or whatever. And throughout the show, it's like, how'd she get with death?
Everybody was like, shit, I want to get with death.
That's kind of hot. I don't know.
But what I like about how that's like it's played out with Agatha, it's not necessarily like, I feel like it's done in a way that if you were to ask Agatha is she gay or straight, she'd probably say she's fluid. She just, like the relationship with death just seems like a relationship with death as opposed to a relationship with a woman.
Yeah, right? Sure.
Because I think she's drawn to power. I feel like the only reason why she's even friends with Billy is because of how powerful he is. She only tried to somewhat make a truce with Wanda because Wanda was powerful. Because she tried to be Wanda's friend to figure out how she did it.
Yeah,
that was literally the whole point of the show was, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? And Wanda never knew. So even with Billy, to some extent, it's how did you do it? You know what I'm saying? I don't think she really has, she doesn't have friendships with people she can't benefit from.
We don't know how her and Death started either. Maybe it was also how did you do it?
Bro, I will watch that whole thing.
Same. There's so
I don't
much.
care how it comes. Movie,
how
show.
How did she get the Darkhold? Like there are a lot of
Because even though she died in the end of this, I'm hoping it's going to be like a prequel situation. Or even if not in Agatha, I hope we see it somewhere.
But wait, help me with this death. How did she become a ghost? Listen, my accent changed. I need to understand. What are the terms? How did she become a ghost?
Somebody said because she has unfinished business.
But like, okay, BS. Sorry.
No, I think it's to do with, remember when she said to Death, you can't kill me.
Yes.
Before. I think it's connected to that because that kiss, that was a kiss of death. Well, that's the thing. It's the why doesn't necessarily mean it's a plot hole. It's just that we don't know.
No, it's not a hole. I'm just curious. I'm trying to explore the like.
Maybe she can manipulate death.
But I think it's connected to their relationship in the first place, right? Again, by the time Nicholas comes on, their dialogue, it's as if they've been together. Yeah. Right? It's not like, oh, this is the first time we've met. Yeah. They've been together, and then it's alluded like, you can't kill me. So it's like, oh, maybe Agatha knew she'd become a ghost because being a ghost is that middle ground, right? She knew
I think
that.
so. And Rio said, I hate ghosts, which is a funny thing to nice note back in the past. So I felt like it definitely was Agatha's like a Mission Impossible final play. Like,
well, maybe because she can't take ghosts. You know what I'm saying? Because they haven't transitioned yet. You can't take something to the other side that's not ready to go.
For sure.
You know, because the son came with her. So did Alice. So did whoever. Even though they're dead.
I could be wrong. I could be reaching. But don't forget, death doesn't kill. So maybe when death does kill, you become a ghost.
So that's where I was alluding. Because she literally went to kiss death, right? And we haven't seen death kill anyone before. No. You're 100% correct. We've only seen death take, right? So I was wondering if that was the catch, right? Which would almost be a fun, I don't know, overarching power ranging, right? That death, anyone you kill ends up as a ghost and you have no control over. So you have to not kill in order to get people to harvest, which is like it's a good way to balance out why death doesn't just, take mass murder, but instead wants Thanos to kill everyone and then she can take the souls. It's a little bit a little bit different. Like, so I like that.
I do like that. Like death as an entity can't orchestrate a killing, but we'll then take a soul.
She can goad you and we'll goad you.
Yeah. Please. She can hurt you.
But also, remember that Agatha technically only died because she kissed her. It was a kiss of death.
Yeah.
So technically, does, death even have any say of what happens to a person that goes out of their way to affect, their powers onto them? Like, because she said, if I kiss you kind of thing, like, she knew that if she kissed her, they would die. She would die. So, so you do wonder, like, maybe she can't control, how she affects people, like you said.
It's like Rogue, but with death.
Right, the Rogue of Death.
There was a split moment where I was like, is Agatha going to drain Billy? There was a split
I thought so.
I was like, come on. And then he started
apparently she couldn't stop.
Like,
his skin was shriveling.
I was like, okay, Agatha.
Stop.
Anytime now.
You can stop now.
But I think for me, it was a little more messed up because I realized how she can stop. So you didn't have to kill Alice. So you didn't have to kill all those people.
I had a
because she made it seem like she couldn't control herself. She'd be like, I can't control it. I can't control it.
She's alive.
Well, I think again, I think it is both. Because I look at it as like it's crack to an addict. Right? You're supposed to stop, but once you start feeling it, you just like...
You're like, I don't have to stop. I mean...
You're like, but this feels so good. Why? Why should I stop? It feels so good, Even if she has the regret afterwards, right? Because an addict would have the regret after the fact, like, I shouldn't have done that. But in the moment, you're just taking that crack. Which I also think it's sad for her.
Just taking that crack.
But that's what it is for her.
Sounded bad.
Which again, I think it speaks to what I was saying about the compassion for Agatha, because you don't know her full story, really, in a good way. I think they're holding things back on purpose, right? This was this story. This is not the origin of Agatha, because you get hints in terms of her mother and why her mother and the coven wants to kill her, right? In terms of, you are evil, we're going to try and kill you. And the irony of her character is that she may have not started out to be evil, but her ability means killing others. Like, inherently, before, even if she's good or not, that's her ability, regardless of if she's a good person or other person, which I'm curious to see if there are further evolutions to her power and her ability, right? Because usually when it's like this, there's layers to it, right? She's never really fully touched on her full power. And I'm curious what...
She did now.
Yeah, well, she's dead now, so I don't know how far that goes. Though she's learning how to touch stuff, and she's just like, give me it.
That was another time where I was like, Monaco. Like, I'm looking intently. Like, so she has enough, if she has enough willpower, she can actuate on the world of the living. I'm literally here taking so many notes.
Yeah.
Like,
those are things, those are always rules that are played around with ghosts, right? It's like, how much things can they affect the real world and touch things. Some stories go back and forth. with
Yeah.
that. Anything else? Overall, I thought this show was really well done. It took me through these kind of emotional ups and downs that at times I didn't know was by design. I think they did a fantastic job of me kind of questioning things and be like, what the hell, what the hell? And the writers knowing I'm going to do that. So when the reveal happens, I'm like, damn, I was totally wrong. Or damn, I was overthinking this, or I didn't simplify it enough. I thought it was fantastic. The acting across the board, fantastic. I think the cast, all of them just brought it. I'm curious to see what the future of this. And I think this does a good job of weaving a mystery into a show without necessarily saying this is a mystery show. So I'm not like overlooking for it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, even they have reveals that because they know that the comic book audience are looking for things, so that when we get a reveal about something we already knew, there's still a surprise of how the reveal happens or why it happens. So it still leaves us excited, where it's like we all knew that comic fans, we all knew that Billy, what Teen was Billy. But seeing how that happens, I was like, oh shit, the car accident. Oh shit. All these little touches that we couldn't have predicted. I thought it was fantastic, well done. And I can't, like you, Andrew, I can't wait to watch this show again. Raven, final thoughts on this season?
I thought it was a great show overall. Like, I really enjoyed it. Definitely one of my favorite of the MCU shows for sure.
We're back, baby.
Yeah. I'm happy that I'm happy we're back to focusing on story and not larger universe. Like let's keep it contained. Let's tie up those loose ends for now before we start getting crazy. But I thoroughly enjoyed the show, and I would recommend it for sure.
It had a tough and not tough job because it was doing a show that was not really based on as much lore as a lot of things we watch, and they definitely should get a round of applause. It was slow at points, but I just feel like the speed was all justified by the end, right? Minus the pacing, I feel like everything was like, okay, it was all intentional. Oh my gosh, that was happening there. Like, like I said, I'm eager to look back and find the Easter eggs that I missed myself, right? Or even the ones I know, to actually just see them now from a fresh perspective. So I think it definitely is one of the top 25% of the Marvel TV shows I've watched. I think they did a good amount of just like sprinkle this here, sprinkle more about the lore, sprinkle like debunk this theory here, stereotype here, and just all the fact that it all kind of ties into Billy's room and like his preconceived notions about witches, and like that's like he was manifesting his own vision, but then we still see like the real power in this world. Again, I think just a really good show in terms of flexing a full creative sphere without any like restrictions per se. And do I have nitpicks? Yeah, it's not perfect, but I think it was just a really good show and really, really well, I guess, directed or produced, especially with the budget, like you mentioned, right? We've seen bigger budget shows do even worse. I won't mention them again. So I'm excited to see like what I now want to see. I guess this is the trigger thing now. Like, what could they do with a bigger budget, right? It's like, I mean, you're now a good custodian of a small budget. What would you do if you blew this story out and started to weave in, like I don't know. There's a lot that I look forward to, which is a question I was going to ask you guys of what you want like the future of Agatha and Billy to be, right? Because I think that we can see them appear together in like a few things now as we lead up to Young Avengers and after.
I would love them as a buddy cop duo situation for sure. I could see them being teamed up. Like I said, it's funny and amazing to me that we ended up with, a queer duo without, it being about it being a queer duo. I love with that. And they're witches, it's a witch and a warlock. Like, come on, that's fine.
Made for you.
Right. Like, come on, this is my show. So I enjoy it. I definitely hope to see, honestly, everybody who survived the show. I want to see again, even down to the neighbors of Westwood.
Yeah, right.
Like, I even hope to see them responding to the chaos,
Here's the
in
question.
Avengers.
Are we seeing Wanda again, Raven?
I was just gonna ask.
We definitely seeing Wanda again. My interest would be actor, like is Homegirl coming back?
I think she. I think
after a break.
I 1000%. I think they're gonna bring her character back, but I think as long as she wants to play it, we're gonna see her again.
Anyway, what did you nerdies think of this finale? What did you think of the series? Did they drop the ball or did they stick the landing? Find us on social media at The Nerdy Bunch. We also, Raven, we have an email address now, the Nerdy Bunch podcast at gmail.com. People can send us messages, can even send us recommendations for shows and movies we should watch. So send us those messages. Also, in the next few weeks, Andrew and I are going to be doing Overload. We have the season finale of Penguin, season 1, which Raven, you should watch it. Kind of like Agatha. It's a story about a villain that is not a redemption arc. This guy is evil and he's bad.
It's fun.
It's so evil, good. Man. I tell you, Raven.
You're not
I love evil people that are just evil.
But it's evil people with other evil people, and it's like there are no good people in this show. Everyone is evil, everyone's bad, and it's great. So check out that podcast. Andrew and I will be recording the finale next week, which airs this week, the finale. And coming up, we have Silo season 2. We'll be reviewing that weekly. Season 1's a great show. Fantastic. We also have the new season 2 of Arcane anime series on Netflix. Can't wait for that. And
amazing show.
Brand new show, spin-off of the Dune movies, the new show Dune Prophecy, which
with Ragnar Lothbrok,
which we shall be reviewing those. So check those out. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Raven.
Thank you, Raven. Thank you.
If you all enjoyed this extra long episode, give us a thumbs up, give us a star, give us a rating.
Part 1 and 2.
If anything that gets us more attention, and share with your friends and subscribe and all that jazz.
If you make t-shirts and want to send us dope t-shirts, you can just send it to us. We'll shout you out. We'll be like, this is made by.
I'll put it on my green screen behind me.
Exactly. He won't even wear the shirt. He'll just hang it up behind him so that you see it the whole time.
Yeah. The whole time. Yep.
Must be heavy in nerd culture.
Oh yes. Yes.
Doesn't have to be the subject we're on, but it does have to be super nerdy.
The deeper it is, the better.
Exactly.
Go deep. Go deep.
PG.
My name is English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch presentation of Something to Marvel About, where we spoke about the season finale, maybe series finale, I don't know, of Agatha All Along. And as the show always told us from the very beginning, it was Agatha all along. And as always, Raven,
keep it nerdy. Peace.